welcome to my channel. So I am heading up towards Kensington Palace, which is right in front of me. This is the first time I've actually been to Kensington Palace. I've got a ticket for entry today. It was on a whim, sort of last minute thing. So Kensington Palace has been a royal residence for 300 years or so now, and Queen Victoria was actually proclaimed Queen here. It's also where the beginnings of the royal romance between Queen Victoria and Prince Albert began, in this very palace. This is where they first clapped eyes on each other. And of course she went on to have 9 children with him, and they were very happily married. In more recent times it was the home to Princess Diana. She lived here right up until her death. And in fact, I remember seeing this scene being a massive sea of flowers at the time that she passed away back in 1997. All of this area was completely covered in flowers, and I can tell you now, that is quite a vast area. Also, if you go even further back into history, you'll know that Queen Anne also lived here. She had 18 pregnancies, but none of them led to any of her children making it to adulthood. She actually had a relationship after her husband died with another woman right here at Kensington Palace, which ended in some sort of storming arguments. I don't know anything about it, but of course, I mean, can you imagine it? A lesbian affair between the Queen and another woman. Her name was Sarah, the Duchess of Marlborough, and they called each other Mrs. Freeman and Mrs. Morley, but of course it did not end well. So going back to Princess Diana, this is where she raised William and Harry as boys. This is where she walked them to school from. I mean, fancy coming home to this place after school every day, hey? And it's also where she gave her now very infamous interview with Martin Bashir. It might seem like the royals are glamorous, but it was actually Princess Margaret who was the high society queen. She threw so many parties here at Kensington Palace, like high-end mega bashes with all sorts of celebrities of the 1960s that would turn out here. Along with her husband Anthony Armstrong Jones, she threw parties where people like Peter Sellers, Spike Milligan, Elizabeth Taylor, the Beatles, Margaret Fontaine and Rudolph Nureyev were all among the people that attended parties here at the palace. If only walls could talk. I just got this really friendly chap to take a photo of me in front of the palace. Here it is. So obviously now the palace is the current residence to Prince William and Princess Kate. They were bestowed a flat here by the Queen when they got married back in 2011, and this is now their home. Although for obvious reasons, that's a sealed off part of the palace, which is not open to visitors. I mean, would you fancy strangers marching through your kitchen when you're trying to make breakfast?
Who's led me to the sun? How could I know that I was lost without you?
Alright, so I'm on the tour in Kensington Palace, and I'm not allowed to film anything in here, so I'll tell you about it afterwards. I can take photos though. Alright, I've just finished the exhibition. I've had a really wonderful time just walking around the palace with my headset on. I took it on and off, and it's not too overwhelming, the information on the headset. It's just in dribs and drabs really, so you can still sort of walk around without having this going on in your head all the time. It was just really, really enlightening. It was totally fascinating, for example, to go into Queen Victoria's bedroom where she was born, and just to be able to see that whole environment and to actually stand in a place of absolute history. I mean, I love all the royal history of this country, and it's just really remarkable to be able to literally walk in these rooms where so much has gone on. There's a kind of musty smell about some of the rooms. Some of the rooms have a certain aroma about them, and other rooms just smell of, you know, polish. But it's just really, really well kept. I know there was a TV series, wasn't there? I think it was on Channel 5 a while back. It was all about how they sort of have to restore and keep the palace tidy and, you know, keeping everything going, especially through the COVID times when it was closed. You know, the amount of work that goes into keeping that place clean and tidy. It was just totally fascinating, really, to see it all, to see the end results. So I was able to go into the room where Queen Victoria was born, but also the room where she played as a child and the room where she was baptised as a baby. I saw her famous doll's house. It's pretty fascinating to see that. And then they had like a box full of replica toys that you could actually pick up and play with. I mean, I wasn't going to do that, was I? But it was still really cool to see those toys. But her life as a child was quite regimented. Like, she didn't really have a lot of freedom to just do her own thing. Everything was controlled. She couldn't even walk down the stairs on her own. She had to be always accompanied with everything that she did. She was educated really, really strictly, and she didn't really have a lot of time for herself. But right now I'm heading round to the gardens where I believe I'll be able to see the statue to the late Princess Diana. Here it is. You can't actually get up close to it or anything, and I'll have to try and get it from the other side. But this is the statue of Princess Diana. It was commissioned by William and Harry to mark 20 years of Diana's death. It was sculpted by a chap called Ian Rank Broadley and placed here in Kensington Gardens in July 2021 on the 1st, which would have marked Diana's 60th birthday. However, it wasn't that well received. Not everyone liked this statue, and still don't now. The Guardian critic Jonathan Jones called it aesthetically awful and referred to it as a spiritless, characterless hunk of nonsense. Kind of harsh. I don't think it's that bad. But anyway, let's see if we can actually see it from the front. However, Lily Waddle from the Evening Standard had a different opinion. She said that it captured the beauty and the princess in action and all her kind features. Kind of paraphrasing that bit. Okay, so this is actually the sunken garden, but you can't actually go down there. You can only walk around the perimeter. You can't go anywhere near the statue. It's just a shame. So you can't take a selfie with it or anything. You can only admire it from afar. So here we are admiring it from very afar. Here's another angle. So what do you think of the statue? Do you think that it serves Princess Diana well? Do you think it shows the princess in action and her kind heart, as the lady at the Evening Standard says it does? Or do you think it's just a hunk of nonsense, like the bloke at the Guardian? Just lastly, this is also the site of Nottingham Cottage, which is also somewhere here at Kensington Palace. I don't quite know where it is. I didn't ask anybody. Obviously, Prince Harry and Meghan were living there for a while, and it was kind of known for having really low ceilings. And Meghan got slated in the Netflix interview for saying that it was small. But I think what she was referring to really was the roof being quite low down, because both William and Harry, because William lived here as well, had to duck going through doorways because they were so tall and the ceilings were so low down. But unfortunately I don't quite know where it is on site, and I'm not going to go back and ask because I'm leaving now. So yeah, I've had a really fascinating time here at Kensington Palace. I'm going to head over to Knightsbridge now and check out Harrods. I haven't been there in quite a long time. I'm just going to have a mooch around and look at some really expensive stuff that I can't afford to buy. Alright, I've made it to Harrods in Knightsbridge. There it is. The world famous store, currently owned by Qatar, the country. It was once famously owned by Mohammed Al Fayed, the father of Dodi Fayed, who died in a car crash with Diana. It is home to 3,000 luxury brands, none of which I can afford. But I've come today just to have a little mooch around because I'm in London, and I thought before I head home I would just come in and have a little look and see if there's anything that I want to buy. There's probably loads that I want to buy, but not much that I probably can buy, but we'll see. Alright, here we go. I'm going to head into Harrods. I'm just going to pick a random door, and the first name I see is Louis Vuitton. Should I get myself a ducky? Yeah, I don't think so. Alright Mom, I am in the chocolate, I don't know, chocolate department. So you can get like 8 chocolates here for 12 quid. Reasonably tempted. I feel like you should get twice that amount for that money. I'm in the women's wear department at Harrods. It's proper Devil Wears Prada vibes here. I mean, I don't think I'm even going to go into any of these boutiques. But it's still nice to have a mooch. Should get me some new socks. Alexander McQueen. It's lovely house stuff. It would all look totally out of place in my house though, let's be honest. Alright, I'm in the lift. You can't really film walking around Harrods, so there's not going to be a lot of footage. But I'm leaving now, I'm hot. Well, that was a totally surreal shopping experience. I did buy something though. But it's another world. I mean, I went into the fine jewellery and watches department, which I know Connor will be super interested to see. So you'll have to come back with me sometime, Con. I tell you what, the watches in there make the ones in Goldsmiths look like they're from a market store. Ridiculous prices, like 60,000, $500,000, just insane amounts for these watches. And you can't really take pictures, but I did manage to sneak a couple. Have a look. How insane, right? Oh my gosh, you will totally have to come back and have a look at them, Con.
Yes.